right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during public comment? Okay. Bringing it back then for council and staff comments. Anybody over here? No? No? How about over here? Let's do it, Todd.
Okay. Try to make this short. The landing, we had the developers, John and Brian Power, and the architecture cohort from Dallas. They were in town for a couple days last week. They did a lot of reconnaissance. We were able to set up a tour at the Sisson Museum, and I really want to thank Jean Nels. She was under the weather, but still pulled through and just did a great job, so thank you. They were really impressed by that. They've got some new ideas based on their visit. We're determining that we're not going to build affordable on the timeline of the Surplus Land Act. So what they're doing is figuring out how to do that on their own. There's a 5-acre parcel on the west side that is directly across from Bear Springs Road, and they're looking at a combination of a tiny home cluster and what they're calling workforce by design or affordable by design, and that is, what do we do to make 1- and 2-bedroom homes available at the cheapest price? And they're talking to Bob Kendrick, if you may recall that name from way back when, up in Central Point, and some other companies about prefabricated housing at that location. So that's where they're looking at next. On another vein, we went out with an RFP for master planning, trying to build consensus and understanding of what the community wants in terms of development out at the landing. That closed on Friday. We got 14 responses, and we'll be going through them all on Wednesday. And if we need to do interviews between the finalists, then we'll do that. But we hope to get that underway real soon. For those that are, we've got one member of the Public Finance Authority here, Councilman Collings, and Councilperson Klur is also part of that. I was able to finish the base year EIFD report this weekend. We need to notify all the property owners within the EIFD, give them 30 days, and also notice it in the various locations, because it'll be a public meeting. And then we'll set up that PFA, our Public Finance Authority meeting, to adopt the base year report. I know this sounds really exciting. There is a drainage project open house at Theory on Wednesday at 5:30. It's important. Not sexy. It's about new drainage on McLeod. And finally, with the sales tax initiative, we have ballot language drafted we need to bring to get approved. We also have a resolution and an ordinance consolidating the election with the county, 1. And 2, we need to bring the resolution adopting and moving forward the ballot measure so we can get it on the ballot. And I'm hoping to get that at the next council meeting.
Anyone else? Cool. Just since it was brought up, I'll just respond. I do have another Coffee with the Mayor thing tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. at Seven Sons. I would normally say that at the end during meetings, but I have a feeling that 90% of the people in the audience will not be here at the end of the meeting. So we'll just get that out of the way now. Anybody else over here? You got anything? Rachel? No? Okay. You guys? Okay, cool. All right, we'll move on to item 6, committee updates. We've got the Downtown Enhancement Advisory Committee, the Library Tax Advisory Committee, the Beautification Committee, and the Active Transportation Committee. Any updates?
The DEAC meets this Wednesday. Library Tax Advisory Committee met last week. Is it last week? Yep. We talked about cost estimating and how that's coming soon. And went over budget numbers that Melissa was kind enough to prepare. And they're just looking forward to seeing what those cost estimates show. They're, as I mentioned in an email, it's a little bit delayed. The estimator had a medical emergency in the family, so it's put off for a couple weeks, and been told the end of the week, but give or take a week, it'll be back.
Okay. And while we're on it, I should note that we have one vacancy on the Planning Commission, 2 vacancies on the Beautification Committee, and 1 vacancy on the Downtown Enhancement Advisory Committee, if anybody out there is interested in any of those wonderful committees. All right. We will now move on to item 7, the consent agenda. The city manager recommends approval of the following consent agenda items. All resolutions and ordinances on this agenda or added hereto shall be introduced or adopted as applicable by title only, and the full reading thereof is hereby waived. A, approval of minutes, April 13th, 2026, regular city council meeting. B, approval of disbursements, accounts payable, April 13th, 26, April 15th, 26, April 20th, 2026. Total gross payroll and taxes for the period ending April 16th, 2026. C, monthly investment report. D, purchase and outfitting of patrol vehicle using Proposition 64 grant funds. E, approval of contract cellular services.
So move to approve consent agenda items A through E by title only.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Okay. All right, we will now move on to item number 8, which I imagine many of the folks out there are here for, and that is our community partners presentations. As the city prepares the 2026-27 fiscal year budget, staff has invited community partners to speak on behalf of their organizations. Melissa, did you want to?
Yes, I'd like to thank all the community partners for being here and responding to the request. This is probably a different process than you're used to. This is my first time doing the budget for the city. And so as part of that planning, I wanted to have everybody come and speak to us about what they've done with the money that we've given them in the past and what they intend to do if they get funded going forward. And that will help us be ready to present our balanced budget at the end of May. We'll have a public hearing and then hopefully get that adopted by July 1. So again, thank you. And I believe that everything should be queued up and ready to go for the first speakers. And we'll just go through them as you were in order. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. And Todd, you were under the weather too. Are you feeling better?
I'm just passing it along to all my
Such a sharing person. All right. Well, thank you. I see my slide here, but the title's not there, which is supposed to be why support. No, go back to the first slide, please. Why support a museum? I try to answer it on that same slide. We document and share our history, and no one else does that in our town, and it's so valuable to have that. Just as Todd was saying, when that group came, they were very interested in hearing what has happened through our 125, well, since 1887, our town's history. Really, it started in the 1850s, but over on Old Stage Road. And then we offer community events, at least one a month, and we entertain, or I should say we educate the schools that come there. And we are a tourist destination, which is very important in our town. If you go to Google, you will see all the amazingly positive comments we have. And let's see if this is working. It is. How wonderful. Thank you. So our museum opens its doors on July 4th, 1983, and that historic building was going to be destroyed, and a bunch of community members got together and petitioned the state, and we were able to restore it, and it's now our museum. The only way we have kept going is through volunteers. I myself am also a volunteer, full-time volunteer. Finally, after 40 years, we were able to hire a full-time person. And as you can see from this slide, they help with the exhibits, like Chris Schneider, whom some of you know. And people really enjoy seeing all these variety of exhibits that we have there. We change our exhibits every year. In the back room, that is a major change every year, but all of them change. We put up new artifacts and many interactive opportunities for the people that visit. This year, the exhibit is Mount Shasta Stories, and we talk about 6 major areas that have developed through time in our community. In this Mount Shasta Stories exhibit, we are documenting the oral history of many community members, and some of them we missed because we did not start the project till this year, when we got the funding for it. And one person that we did record this year was Rich Zanetti, who had a milk run back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And it's just amazing to hear the oral history of people. And we have 4 more scheduled to interview for next year. And we've got to document those people. Also, it is a center for our community. We offer these events. Storytelling is a big draw at the museum right now. And we offer some special Saturday events in the summer. Last year we had 3 Science Saturdays. This summer we are offering 8 family days around our theme of Mount Shasta Stories. We're offering, one of them is Pioneer Games, another one Native American weaving and gambling games, another one is using a little table saw and making things out of cardboard. The children get to cut the cardboard. Partnerships broaden our outreach. We've had a closer partnership with the City Council lately, and you can see we were so grateful when you did the opening day celebration there. And different communities in the area that we partner with are like the Mount Shasta Bioregional, Siskiyou Land Trust, Rotary, and these are exhibit sponsors, give us money every year because we could not do that without them. It's fun for people of all ages. You can see that when you come, whether it be dressed up in the cabin. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And other different educational things like, making things with snap circuits, or we have some lumber activities right now, agricultural activities. So last year, with everyone's help in the community, we were able to get a 25-year lease, so we're guaranteed at least 25 more years in that location. And so much outpouring of support from the community. Our 10-year average attendance is 14,000 visitors a year. We get rave reviews, like I said, on Google, but also we do a survey in the museum, and you can see from that little survey there, We had 1,500 approximate responses, and look at that. How many people said they learned something new, recommend this museum, and the interactive opportunities. So, thank you very much. Our exhibits and everything are a big draw for the visitors and community members. And the upkeep of the building is extremely expensive. That's all on our dime. And to put up new exhibits every year also takes a lot of effort. So thank you for your continued support.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jean. I believe next, are we going in order of what's in the packet here? Is that, I believe we have Sora.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Renee Casterline with Siskiyou Outdoor Recreation Alliance, and this is Justy Hansen. We really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you all tonight and bring you up to date on what SOAR's been doing most recently, and also what we have in mind for this year. Let me familiarize myself with the clicker here. How's this thing gonna work? Not that way. Okay. So we wanted to start off in what we'll share with you tonight by really reviewing this vision of sustainable outdoor recreation. As you all know, in 2024 and 2025, SORA conducted the South Siskiyou Sustainable Recreation Planning process, which was outstanding. We had so much community participation, lots of events that people were able to participate in person, online surveys. And what that really helped us do was develop this picture of what outdoor recreation is for the South County. And you can see from our graphic that outdoor recreation, well, Justy likes to say, it is about fun. It is about other elements as well. You know, it is about social connection and stewardship, our connection to land, public health, the well-being of our community members, and it's also about economic development. And that really is where our scope of work for the next year to 3 years lies. And just last week, Justy and I were invited and so honored to take part in the California Jobs First Symposium of Practice down in Sacramento. We were one of well over 100 projects that were invited to attend with the goal of creating actionable recommendations for legislators at the state level about how to make outdoor recreation an economic driver, which is something that the state has recognized and included in their blueprint. And so, as we have wrapped up the South Siskiyou Sustainable Recreation Plan, we're moving forward and we really want to focus on doing an economic impact study that really specifically looks at the value of outdoor recreation in South Siskiyou County, obviously including Mount Shasta, but we do want to use the same footprint for that we did for the South Siskiyou Recreation Plan. And part of the way that we're shaping that impact study is to ask the question, what would our communities look like if we didn't have outdoor recreation? Obviously, that's a personal question, but it's also a community-wide question in terms of the impact it would have on our businesses and the viability of people being able to live here and to live here well. So one of the elements that we're really looking at moving forward in the next year or so is that economic impact study. And Justy and I are going to bounce back and forth here tonight. So right now, I'm going to pass it back to Justy.
So for those of you who are not familiar with SORA, we are dedicated to advancing rural economic development and community health through sustainable outdoor recreation. It gets people outside. It's how we connect. I think it's part of our community identity, and that's reflected in the Sisson Museum. You know, if you go into the Sisson Museum, there's always a history of the climbing and the skiing and the hiking and the fishing in our community. And so our goal is to be a part of building a sustainable recreation economy in Siskiyou County. So that's just a little bit about us. We're also climbers and skiers and cyclists ourselves, and we bring that kind of heart and soul to the work that we do. So our current programming focus, we're going to get back to the economic development piece and what we're asking for, but we're trying to create some context here for everyone. So our current focus is phase 2 of our sustainable outdoor recreation plan, and part of that is the economic development study. We're going to talk a little bit about the 4th of July walk run tonight. You all know we have our new lodge up at the Nordic Center, so while it was a short season, it was certainly a successful season with increased users, and the lodge was definitely well received, and lots of kids groups up there, so it was super fun. So tonight we are going to talk about the 4th of July walk run and the economic study that we're proposing and preparing for. Next slide. Okay, yeah. So just a little bit about the recreation plan for context, which is kind of tied into our ask. That it's sort of now becoming like basically our map for the organization and our motivation and orientation to moving forward. So it's going to include economic development, equitable access, and equitable access is really about making our recreation infrastructure available to someone regardless of their economic or socioeconomic background or physical abilities. We spent $80,000 on an ADA ramp for our new lodge, so we're very proud of that. It was a little more expensive than we thought, but we got it done. Maintenance and stewardship of our trails, that's really important. Land access and ownership, that's a big issue. That'll be something else we're trying to focus on. We got all of these project recommendations from the community. Some of those are on hold right now because of private land issues, and then funding and governance. So moving right ahead. Yeah. So these are some of the community recommendations. The community voted on let's do a town-to-town trail, so linking the towns of South Siskiyou County, Weed, Mount Shasta, McLeod, and Dunsmuir via multi-use trails. And we think that that would invite people to our community, especially the e-biking communities. And the idea would that someone could bring their bike and basically ride between the 4 communities, stay in a hotel, shop at our local stores, eat in our restaurants. So it's really an economic development piece. There was also a trail to Hedge Creek Falls and around the mountain route for McLeod, Dunsmuir, or in Mount Shasta, the Lake Siskiyou Delta Bridge, and then the Moss Bray Falls access, and then the Weed to Black Butte Trail. And then some of the programs that communities were wanting to see was an Everett Memorial Highway, Winter Road access, which seems to be resolved for the time being, and then fire mitigation and trail maintenance and development. So those are all the things that we're taking into consideration at SORA. Next slide. There we go. Okay, should we skip this? Yeah, let's skip it. Okay. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So our economic impact analysis, what we really want to do is make this specific to Mount Shasta and to South County. Obviously, you can buy data, but we're really interested in correlating what we see on the ground here as it relates to recreation to business activity and what business owners are really experiencing. SORA partners with Mount Shasta Trail Association to host Trail Volunteer Days, which we just started last week. And we were also dealing with drainage issues. And not sexy, but actually pretty fun. And while we were out Saturday morning, we saw dozens of cyclists out on the Gateway Trail. It was really, really neat. Some of them, we think there was a team that came up from Reading. So we're really interested in seasonal variations around tourism and how those seasonal variations impact our businesses. You know, this winter that I refer to as the winter that wasn't, we discussed, you know, should we pivot? Should we be talking about come up and ride mountain bike trails right now? There's no snow, the trails are great. That, however, relies on a connection of a lot of nonprofit organizations. As one of the nonprofits that keeps those trails open in February, I knew they weren't open because we had a lot of trees to cut down. And so it takes a lot of cut out of the trails. It takes us working together and understanding each other's needs and concerns and where the opportunities are and the things that need to be taken care of so that we can be responsive as a community as we have these unanticipated seasonal changes, and to really be able to pivot and to work together. So what we really want to start this year is doing that work of looking at recreation and looking at how it impacts businesses. What I really want to see us do is tabling out trailheads at the same over a weekend that we also are asking businesses about their experience of that weekend, and then to think about how we can do that at different seasons of the year. So that's a bit of the character of what we're considering with an economic impact analysis. And what we really want to do is start that this year with, some small amount of funding that we have available, and then look at how to really grow that impact study, because within the outdoor recreation economic development industry, that's definitely a trend that's developing, is to take a really good look and understand the role that outdoor recreation has to play on your local businesses and your local economy. Yes, and we've also had the opportunity to work with the UC Davis Cooperative Extension economists who are starting to work on outdoor recreation, so we've had the opportunity to connect there. We've also been invited to speak at the California Outdoor Economy Summit that Cal Poly Humboldt is hosting in June. So we're really getting the opportunity to broaden our lens of what outdoor recreation and economic development means, and we want to really put that on the ground here.
And I just wanted to dovetail on one thing that Renee mentioned about this economic development study, or sustainable recreation study, that the folks at Cal Poly, or the UC Davis Extension program, have been so generous to sort of take us under their wing. We don't have the funding right now to do a full-blown study. There's Ecos Northwest out of Portland that we would love to hire and work with them, but we have to pull together the funding and find some grant funding that's available. So our plan is to kind of just do sort of a startup with this to position us for a grant application, whatever grant funding comes up in the future. And they're offering to kind of mentor us and get us started, which is lovely because they have already been involved in the sort of recreation-focused economic analysis. So we're very grateful for that. Okay, moving along. So our long-standing Mount Shasta 4th of July walk run. We are at year 46. I'm year 14, I think, helping to coordinate the event. So I put this up there because this Imagine the 4th of July walk run, with the 4th of July without the walk run, it's a pretty big event along with what the Chamber puts on. And our board of directors has just been commenting recently on what a big effort it is. Our costs have increased and we don't have as much volunteer participation anymore. And we're not making as much money. A lot of the proceeds actually go back into the community groups that help support the youth sports that help support the event. So we all know, anecdotally, that the 4th of July contributes to our local economy because it fills the streets, Chamber knows too, with athletes and visitors from all over. It's kind of one of our biggest days. It might be our biggest day. Yeah? Okay. And it supports community health. Like I said, our proceeds go to youth athletic groups from all over the county. It supports local nonprofits. So when we have groups that come help support the event, we pay them from the proceeds. So I'm looking. It looks like I have a typo right there. I didn't catch that. Anyway, so we need more support, and you can switch to the next slide, Renee. So the event vulnerabilities that we're facing right now are basically rising event overhead expenses. Our porta potties or the cost of the porta potties has increased. It's $4,000 just for the porta potties. That's our half. The chamber pays the other half. So that went way up. And then those porta potties are used by everyone in town, not just the run participants. And then again, the decline in local volunteer capacity and increasing labor costs. So now that we have less volunteer capacity, we have to pay more people to put the event on. So that is one thing that we would love to have city support on. Yeah, or for. So opportunities for the city to support sustainable outdoor recreation economy would be, if you would like to support the beginning of an economic development study related to recreation and support the 4th of July walk run. Yeah, any questions?
I do have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned that, so the original study that was done was for a lot of South County, or like all of South County, basically.
Correct.
And you want this to have a similar footprint, I imagine, just so it kind of aligns with the findings of that one as well.
Yeah.
Are other cities within that region contributing to the study as well?
Not right
currently.
now. Nope, but that's a good question. Yeah.
Okay. Questions? I guess that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You guys all have the presentation on your computers? Okay. Okay, I am Josh, resident of Mount Shasta City and owner of the Ascension Aesthetic. We do the marketing for, the digital marketing for the city of Mount Shasta. So, before I kind of throw a lot of data at you, because that's what I have a lot of slides with quantitative data. I just wanted to give you guys the qualitative side of things, right? So basically, we are creating viral content. Somebody in Portland will see something like this. And like, for example, this is one of the places we market to. And they've never heard of Mount Shasta. We show something very beautiful and they say, wow, like I want to see that, I want to go there. And they start to do their research. After seeing our content, they will tend to Google Mount Shasta, and we have done a good job with our SEO. And so if you Google Mount Shasta, visit Mount Shasta is the first thing that pops up. And that's spelled, multiple different ways. So after seeing the content, researching on Google, then they start to get curious and they will book hotels, they will drive to the area, and that's where they will spend their money. And go, the average stay 2 to 3 days, staying in hotels, spending money on restaurants, doing things, activities in the area, mountain biking and such. So that's just the qualitative side of things. So we've been working with you guys for 4 years. We just want to show at a glance, we started in 2022. We had 2,644 Facebook followers, 3,285 IG followers when we first took over. And we've grown that. We've launched an e-commerce store. We had a lot of major growth with our increase in ad spend. And we've gotten really good at our ad marketing, so our cost per click has gone down quite a bit. And as we stand, we have over 33,000 combined followers on Facebook and Instagram platforms. And we put a lot of effort into Instagram because that's where we see the most ROI as far as, this is a beautiful place, it's a visual place, and for tourism marketing, Instagram tends to be the best. So what we deliver currently, posts, reels, stories, we do paid ad campaigns, we're maintaining the website and SEO, we're engaging with influencers, which is something I'll talk about in the future, something we want to lean into more. We have our YouTube channel that we manage, and we do customer relationship engagement, and we also deliver quarterly analytics. So currently, we're at 38,400 per year. And what that's getting you, we have over 33,000 combined followers, as I said. Our peak quarter ad reach, we had 7 cents average cost per click, which is extremely low, and over 402,000 unique visitors, or sorry, reach. So the TOT revenue that I got from Melissa, excuse me, was 1.6 million as of last year, and it looks like this year was on track. I haven't gotten the full numbers this year; it's not done with yet. And then the total content views that we had over our year was 2.8 million. And so this was a graph of the TOT numbers over the history, and again, 25 to 26 is not complete yet, which is why it looks so low, but it, again, looked to be on track. Since our partnership, the TOT growth has been $342,000. That's that big. I know there was a jump from the 10% to 12%, I believe, although the organic growth was 6%. So if you look at our audience over time, since we started, you can see it's pretty exponential. It's gone up and up and up. And again, you can see there that we've really increased our Instagram presence because of the ROI there. We've had a 570% Instagram growth and 316% Facebook. And the difference there, again, is because we're leaning heavy into Instagram. Oh, I went too far. No. Oh, okay, you're taking over. Okay. So this is just showing our ad campaigns and what we've been able to accomplish, right? The industry average is about $1 for this type of tourism. If on the low side it's 50 cents, we're averaging 16 cents cost per click, and our best quarter in the Q1 of 2025 was 7 cents. So we're doing very good with our ad spend, and that comes from time. We've, again, had this partnership for 4 years, and we're just getting better and better at it. So in the beginning, we're learning what works, what doesn't work, and then we're honing that and getting better at it. And so we've gotten a really good ROI on our cost per click and ad spend. To look at the website, we see a lot of people are going from our Instagram channels directly to the website. They want more information where there's a lot more in-depth knowledge in the area. Also links to all the hotels and restaurants in the area so people can go directly to them and book through our website indirectly because they'll go to the hotel website or the restaurant. 81,000 unique visitors, which is up 46% year over year. 67,000 unique visitors. 135,000 page views, and then a 68.93% bounce rate, which I think we could get to be better with some updates to the website, just making it a little bit cleaner, more efficient. So the funding request is option 1. This is an increase of $4,500 a month. That would be $54,000 a year, which would be a 0.009% increase in the budget. This would get you 7 posts and reels, 40 stories a month, up from the 6 and 30 that we currently have. A high production highlight video that we do yearly. We did that in the past, and that's how we were promoting the 4th of July event. We've been recycling that video for like 3 years, and we're getting comments of people saying like, wow, they're not really updating this at all. So we don't want to keep doing that. And this doesn't have to be the 4th of July, although I would expect that to have the best ROI. It would increase the ad spend from $750 a month to $1,000. And it would also allow us to have more money to engage with these influencers. We have a lot of people that ask us like, hey, are you guys doing partnerships? Do you want to collaborate? They have, 20,000, 40,000, 1 million followers, and they want to promote the area. They cost money though. So I say, we can't really work with you guys at the moment. We are dedicating this to ad spend currently, but I hope in the future that we can collaborate because we can take advantage of their audiences and drive growth. And like our highest performing video was with an influencer, and that single video had over 85,000 views, and I know that was bringing in people. Option 2 is the standard package. So that's currently what we're doing. I propose a slight increase just because we haven't raised our prices in over 2.5 years, and as you know, costs have gone up dramatically over those 2 years. But this is giving you the 6 posts and reels, 30 stories a month, $750 a month in ad spend, the visitor center integration, because we're dealing with the visitor center that's essentially the brick and mortar version of what we do. So we work with them closely. Still maintaining the YouTube channel and the quarterly analytics. Something I didn't put on here because I caught it later, but I also want to add the verified account. There's a blue check mark you can get next to social media accounts. That just gives you more presence, more gravitas. And we have it written down that we're the official social media platform of Mount Shasta, but this is something that they can see right off the bat. They don't have to click to know. So it just makes it more, gives it more gravitas. So again, in comparison, how our budget stacks up, if we were at that $42,000 a year, compare that to, say, Discover Siskiyou, which we know is about 5 times the budget from what I have heard. Visit Reading, which I know is $1 million. Our Instagram followers are very close. We've surpassed Discover Siskiyou. We're very close to Visit Reading. We have a lot less posts, and our cost per follower average is much, much lower. So our cost per follower cost is $1.75 versus the $38 that Visit Reading has, or the $10.79 that Discover Siskiyou has. So we're able to compete with a very small budget, but I just like to be even more efficient and take advantage of what we're able to do to promote this wonderful community and economy. And so what happens without active marketing? Not zero. The audience will start to decay. Social accounts with active management lose relevance quickly. Algorithms will deprioritize inactive pages. Follower counts stall, reach collapses, and years of audience building can erode. And so competitors will fill the vacuum. There is See Siskiyou, Visit Reading, Shasta Cascade, and other regional destinations that are actively marketing without a presence. Mount Shasta loses mind share to those destinations with bigger budgets and audiences without our consistent output. The TOT revenue is at risk. The TOT grew 27% over our partnership, but overnight stays don't happen by accident. They require awareness. Reduced visibility directly translates into fewer hotel bookings and less revenue for the city. And if the website traffic declines, our data shows a direct link between social activity, ad campaigns, and our website visits. When the social slows, web traffic follows. $42,000 a year in marketing helps protect the $1.6 million revenue stream. And so, over the 4 years that we've been together, again, this is very quantitative data. You can see it. It's constantly going up. We're getting better and better at what we do. And so we hope that you have us another year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any questions over here? Okay. Awesome.
All good.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
And next up, if this lovely canine face is to be believed, I believe we have the Siskiyou Humane Society. That was based on this, not you.
Oh, by the slide, yeah. That's Piper, by the way. Oh, thank you. I need that. Okay. Thank you for inviting me to speak tonight. My name is Austin Browder. I'm the Executive Director of the Siskiyou Humane Society. Does this thing change? Oh, there it goes. The Siskiyou Humane Society and the City of Mount Shasta maintain a partnership through an MOU. This MOU exists for one simple reason. The City of Mount Shasta is legally and practically responsible for animal services, and the Siskiyou Humane Society provides those services on the city's behalf. By partnering with SHS, the city ensures compliance with state animal welfare requirements while allowing the Mount Shasta Police Department officers to stay focused on core public safety and responsibilities. Everything you see today is meant to show the value and cost efficiency of this partnership. These services the city would otherwise need to provide directly, fund internally, and absorb as a liability. Our goal is prevention, compliance, and community well-being. Our partnership is designed to allow the Mount Shasta Police Department officers and the city to remain focused on core public safety responsibilities while SHS handles the animal care, housing, and placement. How are you seeing the slides over there? Oh, you do right here, okay. When officers encounter a stray, injured, or nuisance animal, SHS becomes the operational solution from intake and holding to medical care and eventual placement. We also support both city and county compliance with California animal welfare laws, which require specific timelines, documentation, and care standards. Beyond enforcement and intake, SHS serves as a primary resource for the public, answering questions, providing guidance, and resolving animal-related issues before they escalate into police calls. Under California law, cities are required, and counties, required to ensure animal services are provided, including rabies control, stray holding, microchipping, reunification, and lawful placement. These laws are very specific. Animals must be held for defined time frames, provided daily care, documented properly, and made available for reclaim or adoptions before any other outcome. The Siskiyou Humane Society fulfills these responsibilities on behalf of the City of Mount Shasta, meeting the legal requirements while also managing the operational financial risk and the outcomes with them. When these services are handled promptly and correctly, it reduces exposure for the city, not just for compliance issues, but for public safety incidents like dog bites, aggressive animals, and animals creating traffic hazards. The Siskiyou Humane Society, where am I? I got ahead of myself. Okay. The Siskiyou Humane Society handles operational and financial workload of animal care, including intake and holding, daily feeding and monitoring, medical care, microchip scanning, owner outreach, and spay, neuter, and placement. We also maintain records and documentation required under state law, which is critical for protecting the city if any incidents do occur or decisions are questioned. Now we're on this slide. Approximately 30% of our animals in care come from the city of Mount Shasta. In 2025, that included 120 cats, 64 dogs, and with dogs coming in from both the police department directly and directly from public intakes found as strays. These animals that would otherwise require city holding, care, and officer time and liability coverage are housed at our facility. Additionally, in 2025, I added this in later, we had 2 clinics in the city of Mount Shasta vaccinating approximately 140 animals. Oh, you're moving them for me. Oh, okay. This slide shows our organizational level outcome for 2025. Not going to read this all aloud to everybody, but it's just here for some quick data points. These outcomes represent the capacity of our systems, and they allow us to respond quickly, prevent escalation, and keep animal-related issues from becoming public safety and liability issues for the city. Next, I want to focus on prevention, in particular long-term costs and risks. Prevention is one of the most important and most cost-effective parts of this partnership. Our pet food pantry reduces owner surrenders, and which also means fewer loose animals in neighborhoods and along roadways. Our spay and neuter programs reduce stray population over time, lowering the likelihood of repeat nuisances, case, and aggressive encounters. By the way, I think we just reached our 300 vouchers for the year already, which is pretty good. Our vaccine clinics reduce disease risk and also reduce bite-related incidents that can become public health or liability issues. And our community outreach helps resolve issues early before they escalate into enforcement calls, dog bites, and traffic hazards. Taken together, prevention reduces long-term cost and demand on city resources. This chart shows a high-level estimate of what this would cost the city to directly provide these animal services without the Siskiyou Humane Society's MOU. These are core components required to operate an animal services program: staffing, facilities, utilities, insurance, veterinary care, equipment, and they all exist regardless of intake volume, even if we brought in 1 animal a year or 10,000. As a nonprofit, we absorb additional expenses such as fundraising and donor relations, grant administration, related administrative functions, which total another hidden cost on here, which I estimate to be about $100,000. Even while carrying these additional costs, we're able to deliver the required services, maintain compliance, and significantly reduce operational and liability exposure for the city. Now, this slide breaks down the real average cost of animals in our care, from shelter intake to outcome. Our annual operating costs are approximately $850,000, which reflects daily care, medical treatment, facility operations, and compliance requirements. Our average dog An average dog remains in our care for 30 days, and cats about 20. When you spread these costs across daily care, the average comes to about $40 per animal per day. Our important piece of context here is that Mount Shasta services we provide operate an ongoing operational deficit under the current agreement. That deficit can't be covered by donations raised solely within the city of Mount Shasta. So the Siskiyou Humane Society also operates as a county-wide provider, serving animals and residents throughout Siskiyou County while maintaining a broader donor base that allows us to continue providing required services here in the city. Let's see, now let's look at what would happen without this MOU and agreement. First, animal care responsibilities would shift directly to city resources. That means Mount Shasta Police Department would be spending significantly more time handling animals and including stray dogs and injured animals. The city would assume responsibility for housing, feeding, daily care, medical treatment, along with associated insurance and liability exposures. Those risks do not disappear. They would shift from the nonprofit to a city responsibility. When you look at the partnership as a whole, it functions as a cost-effective and risk-reducing model for our city. Siskiyou Humane Society provides the custodial and care components of animal services under the city's responsibility, including intake, holding, daily care, medical treatment, and placement. This partnership reduces demand on city staffing and infrastructure, particularly in Mount Shasta Police Department, and it also helps limit liability exposure related to dog bites, loose animals, traffic hazards, ensuring intake and care and placement. Most importantly, this model allows the city to meet legal obligations while avoiding sudden cost spikes, service gaps, and unmanaged risks. Let's see. So I'm not making any requests tonight, but I do want to show what could happen with an increased support and a more robust MOU in the future. We currently are not animal control, and we do not run as an animal control facility, nor are we legally allowed to anywhere within this, the county, and we do not handle dog licensing. In the future, I would be willing to negotiate that when our MOU does come up in the future. That is something that we have been considering discussing. And then I was going to skip this, but this is oh, that's fine. We had 7,000 volunteer hours last year, reducing our operational costs as well, which is great. All right. The Siskiyou Humane Society is not an optional service. It is part of how Mount Shasta meets its responsibility to ensure animal services are provided. Through this partnership, those custodial and care responsibilities are handled professionally, consistently, and in a way that supports public safety, compliance, and risk management. It reduces operational burden, helps limit liability related to dog bites and loose animals, and allows animal-related issues to be addressed before they escalate. We appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me speak tonight and inviting me here. Anybody that's here is welcome to have a private tour of the facility. I will host it. I have my card and my phone number on my card, my personal cell phone. Give me a call. I'd be happy to give you a tour anytime. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions? Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.
And next up, we have the Chamber of Commerce and the Visitor Center.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Burns, and I'm the Executive Director of the Mount Shasta Chamber. And with me is Allison Carpenter, and she runs our Visitor Center. The Mount Shasta Chamber and the Visitor Center are essential to strengthening economic and community experience for our city. Together, they serve as a welcoming hub for our Visitor Center and a driving force for our local events that bring energy and revenue into our community. These services depend on continued partnership and funding support from our city. The Visitor Center is the first stop for travelers. It connects them with local businesses, lodging, dining, recreation, directly influencing how long they stay and how much they spend. The Chamber also puts on 4 contracted events each year, 4th of July being our biggest event, and that not only enriches community life, but it draws visitors who support our local economy. In 2024-2025 fiscal year, it cost approximately $110,748 to operate our Visitor Center and put on these 4 contracted events. These funds covering staffing, daily operations, marketing, event production core elements necessary to maintain a high-quality experience for both our visitors and our residents. The Visitor Center still remains a very important part of our town. Visitors through the ages of 40 and 70 really like to come in and see a local face. People still like walking through the doors, speaking with someone, picking up a hard copy of a map, which Allison will go over, that she has designed, instead of just relying on their phones. They also like having access to local souvenirs. The Mount Shasta license plates, only place you can get them is with us. And they like to have that at their fingertips. We constantly hear appreciation from both our visitors and our locals that we still have a visitor center still open. Because of these realities, city funding is more important than ever. It ensures that the visitor center can continue to operate and our community events can still be delivered at the level expected by residents and visitors. Without this support, these programs and the economic benefit they generate would be at risk. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to pass it on to Allison.
Hi, everyone. So the slideshow is a little wonky based on kind of what we submitted. This is the map that I give out to visitors. Currently, what we are giving out is much smaller than this one. We went through thousands of these, and they're out. We have plans to produce more of these. So this is the one that's on the screen here. This is what I'm currently printing out. So part of the funding that we receive from you guys is going to printing these maps. The guests love these maps. They're printed in 17 inches by 11 inches. This side right here, this is the recreation side. This is where I get to go over with the visitors all of the recreational parts of Mount Shasta and the surrounding area. The other side is the town map. And on this side, we have represent all of our businesses in our downtown area. So in the packets that we provided, you can see a sample of what our print for the summer is going to look like. So as well as information on the budget as well for that. The map is going to have a QR code that will guide people to our website, which is where we'll have our events calendar, as well as to a visitor information page that will take them to an after-hours location where they can access resources. It's my experience that visitors really want to have physical resources. They want to have physical copies of maps. They extremely appreciate those printouts. I have also, because I'm a designer, not only did I design this map, but I also designed trail maps that we give out to visitors. The visitors appreciate those immensely. If you look at our Google reviews, which I provided samples of in the packet, you will hear what they say firsthand. The ones that reference me by name specifically, those you know are the ones that are dealing with me specifically and my interactions with them, which are always extremely positive. I would say that 90% of my interactions are extremely positive, and I very, very rarely have a negative interaction. Like, when I do, it's actually more about my safety than about anything else. So I do run the visitor center by myself. There is really no one else. So again, the events calendar is going to be linked to this map through a QR code that will be on the back side, listing all our events, as well as on this side where we have the town map, we will be having a QR code link that will take visitors to that after-hours visitor page so that they will be able to access continued resources after the visitor center closes. And those resources are all the resources that I provide at the visitor center. That is not meant to be a replacement for the visitor center. It's just an extension of what we already do because there are still plenty of visitors, especially the elderly, so we have to think about accessibility for those visitors who really don't have access to technology in the way that we would want them to. We have to think about accessibility there because those visitors, they're not going to be able to, like, for example, use a QR code. They really aren't. So we have to think about them and their public safety because that's a really huge part of what we do at the visitor center is just help to keep people safe and give them good directions, which is another huge issue because Google doesn't always guide people to the places that they think they're going to go to. Sometimes it takes them onto old, unsafe roads. That's a real issue that we have. I get probably every few weeks someone calling and trying to figure out where they are. They got lost. Someone called me recently on the other side of Mount Eddy, believe it or not, trying to get into our town, and they got totally lost. So I do provide that service. I help people find where they need to go. I help them make sense of the area and the technology even, like Google Maps, for example. And so, yeah, I'm just there by myself taking care of all of our visitors. So that's pretty much it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, let's see. That's right. Where is the, just getting there. The next one is the Collier Center. Thank you for that, Allison.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to come and present to the council. My name is Rennie Cleland. I'm a resident of Doris, and in the early 1990s, I was part of the city council just like you guys are, and we had a presentation from two fellows one out of Wairika and one out of Etna, basically coming to the council and saying that the Collier rest area on Interstate 5 at the Klamath River, just this side of Hornbrook, was in jeopardy of being shut down. The Caltrans was having a tough time with their numerous rest areas in California, and the Collier rest area seemed to be on the chopping block. Bob Rice was a forest supervisor at that time in Siskiyou County, and George Ferrier was a retired librarian out of the Bay Area that came up and was living in Fort Jones. But the bottom line, they were asking for help to salvage this very popular rest stop, and instead of it turning into a commercial gas station convenience store, they wanted to save it, preserve it. It has a lot of Siskiyou County indigenous species or indigenous people's recognition there. There's some artifacts there. We worked very closely with Caltrans. So the bottom line is I want to talk real quickly about the rest stop itself and the fact that it was in jeopardy. And then the second thing I want to do is I want to tell you about the Collier Visitor Center. We call it the Collier Interpretive and Information Center, and that's because it is, it's not only a visitor center. We're trying to tell people about Siskiyou County. We're trying to spread people throughout Siskiyou County. And I heard from almost everybody prior that we're looking for partnerships. And what happened with the Collier concept is that these two fellows went to the county board of supervisors, got the supervisors' support. They ended up coming out to each one of the small communities, Mount Shasta, all of our incorporated communities, 9 of them in Siskiyou County, and they asked to form a joint powers authority. Collectively, everybody was sold on the fact that this was an important site to save for Siskiyou County, and we created this joint powers authority, of which the Mount Shasta City Council and the city of Mount Shasta is involved with this as much as the city of Doris is, or the city of Fort Jones or Etna or Tule Lake. So with that, I don't know how many people on the council or in the audience have been to this Collier Rest area. It's pretty impressive. If you talk to the people at Caltrans, they say that this is the best rest area that they have in the state of California. The visitors that stop at the rest area pretty much attest to that. It is very well maintained by Caltrans and their contractor that comes in. They've got some disabled kids that come in and do most of the maintenance, the lawn mowing and everything else that goes along with it, from restrooms to trimming the trees. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background on this because it's special to me as as a kid that grew up in Siskiyou County and had the opportunity to come back and spend the last 20 years of my career in Siskiyou County and primarily in the Doris area. I grew up in Doris. I was able to come back. But this rest stop, aside from the visitor center, was named for Senator Randolph Collier. And what makes him kind of special is that he was not only born in Siskiyou County over in Etna, he was a police judge in Wairika. He ended up becoming a senator in the state of California, and through his work in the Senate, he became known as the father of the freeway system in California. So that freeway that goes by there was named in honor of Randolph Collier. Like I said, he was a leader in California transportation and infrastructure. It's located right there on Interstate 5 near the Oregon border. One of the things that we talk about, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce, whether it's the Sisson Museum, whether it's anything else that Mount Shasta is involved in, economic development, part of it, we are a gateway community to Siskiyou County. I represent my little portion of Siskiyou County. Councilman Stackfeld, John, represents your community, is a very strong partner in what we do up there, attends most of our meetings when he can. So, but it's more than a rest stop. It's a regional welcome center. So the statistics, right now, Caltrans, if you ask Caltrans how many people visit rest areas in California, they'll say it's in the upwards of 100 million people that physically pull off of the highway and use the rest areas. Obviously, we have a visitor center there that is an addition to that potty spot, but for the most part, we get a lot of people that pull into the Collier Rest area. When we first developed that, we were figuring on 20 to 40,000 people per year that would actually come and see our outdoor advertisements or on the inside once they come inside the visitor center. It's no different than your Chamber of Commerce. It's a welcoming spot that has brochures from throughout Siskiyou County and the whole Pacific Northwest, Southern California, and into Arizona. But the number showing here, the visitor numbers, is for 2025 last year, and we were kind of rebounding from the COVID and shutdowns and lack of transportation, lack of movement in America, and for the most part, our numbers are down. But keep in mind that we expect between 20 and 40,000 people to stop in that parking lot and walk around on that Collier piece of property. So anyway, this is a picture, and I hope you guys have it on your screen, but it's a picture of how we focus on tourism, and our primary goal is to meet those people with a handshake or a hi. We don't have the ability to sell, because of our contract with Caltrans, we don't have the ability to sell anything within that facility. There's a contract in the state of California that Caltrans is limited to a particular contractor that will service every one of those other rest areas in California. We are unique in the fact that we, through the JPA and through some pretty aggressive grant-seeking opportunities, we were able to use one of your Mount Shasta architects to design the building that you saw in the first couple photographs to Caltrans specs. And anyway, it's a beautiful building. It's the only one in California on state property that is owned by the Collier Interpretive Center. So through the Collier Interpretive Center, I'm saying the JPA, the Joint Powers Authority. So obviously, here's an example of the kiosk that we started out in. It's now a standalone outside advertising portal, but that's where we started, and we ended up with the building inside, with the inside building. This is an example of some of our outdoor advertising. The kiosk showed some outdoor advertising as well. And then once they came inside, we've got all the brochures that anywhere from the Humane Society in Mount Shasta to the Chamber of Commerce to Discover Siskiyou to the Sisson Museum, we've got them all. So, and we need more. We are advertising your community. So I'm going to go back to that last slide. So what we're seeing, and I heard it tonight, is many local businesses that are advertising with us, they see the value in that foot traffic that comes in and the hospitality that we serve those people. However, there's still a lot of businesses out there and at a county level and at a community level that haven't taken advantage of this prime visibility. This means missed opportunities for both your community, the travelers, and with thousands of people passing through each week, the potential economic impact is far greater than most realize. We are a very informal, welcoming center that people are stopping there, they're stretching their legs, they're having a picnic, they're walking around, they're looking at the river. There's a lot of potential for growth in that particular area. So anyway, let's go to that next slide. So why does it matter? Let's go ahead to the next slide after that. There's our building that architect Stevens built or designed and we built, but that's the signage for the visitor center. Big impacts with a small footprint. The Collier Center plays a quiet but significant role in supporting tourism. That's a key one because I heard it tonight. You guys are the destination community in Siskiyou County. People are attracted to that mountain. They're attracted to your community. A lot of times this is a stopping place for them going to further south or further north. But you guys have that identity that most of the other communities in Siskiyou County do not have. Local economies, through our referrals, it leads to overnight stays, obviously meals, retail spending. Another benefit is public safety. And during the wildfire seasons, we're able to tell people where not to go. Don't go down Highway 96 because Happy Camp's on fire, or this, that, or the other thing. So public safety is huge for us. Community education falls in number one with not just the information that we're sharing, but Collier is a living laboratory for the most part, because if you look at the Klamath River and with the 4 dams on the Klamath River that have been taken out and the number of salmon and steelhead that are now coming back up the Klamath River, it is an information and interpretive center. What we have the ability to do is to take a College of the Siskiyous class or a biology class from Mount Shasta High School and taking them up there and show them the flora and fauna that Siskiyou County is proud of. So community awareness, again, history, natural resources, recreation, agriculture, and more. And the fifth thing is that it's a county identity by offering a unified welcome that reflects our values and our landscapes. People stop there every time they're on Highway 97 or on Highway I-5 going up and down the interstate. So when you ask, why does this matter to Mount Shasta? Primarily it matters because this center represents your community, even if a traveler never drives through it. We are your Chamber of Commerce extended up there. We are your Discover Klamath or Discover Siskiyou or wherever that tourism industry may land. So the next one, please. So One thing I heard tonight, I've got 5 or 6 different speakers in front of me, but one thing I heard was partnerships, and that's what the Joint Powers Authority is. That's what you represent to the Collier Interpretive Center. What you're doing by sharing with us, you're serving travelers heading across Siskiyou County and beyond. We are often the first point of contact for Lake Siskiyou, for Mount Shasta City, the Klamath Basin, the Scott Valley, the Shasta Valley, and more. We reach visitors before they decide where to go or spend their time, and that's really a key thing in the fact that a lot of the people with the dollars in their pocket have a big motorhome that they're going up and down the interstate with, and most of them are looking to go, where are we going to vacation, where are we going to go explore America next year? So with those people, we're a contact for them, and if they want to go see the lava beds or Lower Klamath National Wildlife Refuge or spread out anywhere else, they're getting their first contact right there with us. So in 2025, just last year, we were able to come up with a grant to create, with Caltrans approval, to create an interpretive trail. And like I said, the Shasta Indians, the Karooks, that spot along the Klamath River was a trading place. And so this interpretive trail has several pieces of signage on it that describe not only the plant species, but what the Native Indian Americans, what they used for that. So it's an interpretive story of what that site all involves. It expands the visibility for local programs. Just hearing it tonight, I mean, there's a huge correlation between what I'm hearing the people coming to you for dollars are saying. Destination services, it reflects the full diversity of Siskiyou County. And then again, it's a stronger impact through the collaborative effort of the Joint Powers Authority. So with that, I think I'm pretty well done with my slides. If you, again, my name is Rennie Cleland. I'm the current board president. We are hurting right now for dollars. You guys gave $1,000 last year. It costs us about $60,000 a year to run that place. We have run it because we don't have money coming in. We survive on advertising dollars and donations and grants and that kind of thing. So we need your help. You need to see the value in what we have. Right now, we don't think that we're being utilized enough or recognized for our value as much throughout the county. And I'm not saying that about Mount Shasta City. It's because you guys have been. When we started out in 1991, we made it known that we were going to keep our doors open by advertising dollars and the communities in that JPA supporting us. And it has started out strong, and then it has waned down. We have one employee that we just hired 3 years ago, I think now, and she gives us about 18 hours a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And she's a retired lady that is friendly as can be and loves meeting people. And we had to lay her off the end of January. So there's a sense of urgency. I don't know, I'm not coming here with a number to ask, because we've asked the Board of Supervisors and all of the other communities. I think you guys as a council get a letter from our Secretary Treasurer, who is Deborah Baird. But kind of advising you that we're still active. We appreciate any support that you can give us. And like I said, last year, I think we received $1,000 from the Mount Shasta. So anyway, with that, any questions you want to ask me? I got a lot of notes, but I don't want to take much longer. So any questions?
Not so much questions, but 25 years ago this May, I was a hitchhiker in the area, and
I'm sorry?
25 years ago this May, I was a hitchhiker in the area, and one of the nicest places I stayed at for a night under a tree was your rest area on my way to Oregon.
Oh, good.
It was really nice.
Okay.
Compared to the gas stations I had been spending time at, this was a treat.
Yeah, good. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
Was that everybody?
Yeah, so that concludes the presentations for that portion, I believe, unless I missed.
Did the beautification committee want to
Oh.
speak? They didn't have a
mistake.
presentation, but they did want
Oh.
5 minutes.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Therese. I'm a member of the Mount Shasta Beautification Committee, and this is Lori Saunders, our president.
I guess
Chairperson.
I have to say one thing. This is my 30th year on the committee. It's amazing.
Thank you for that.
So we've prepared a budget for this coming year, and I'll just go through it really quickly. The library medians are the two medians along the street sidewalk in front of the library. Those are needing some more bark, basically, so we put down a price for that. These next three are the entrances to the city. So Lake Street medians could use some more bark and just some more plant replacements and additions. The south entrance median needs some more bark refreshment and probably plant replacements. And the north triangle, again, could use some more bark. And then we put in there some additional, to order a couple extra trash cans. I don't know if everybody's noticed the new pebble concrete trash cans that we've put out along the boulevard, but we wanted to order a couple more just to have as backup in case some get run over or broken. And the last thing is the plants and soil and bark that's needed for all the downtown planters. We currently have 12, and we're in the process of purchasing 12 more, so we're going to have a total of 24 to maintain. So, yeah, so the proposed budget's like $5,250 for next year. Thanks so much for your consideration.
Very
Appreciate
nice.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Any questions? And one thing I would note is I would assume it's going to be the same this year, but there was a volunteer day last year to go and kind of redo the downtown planters. Is that going to be the same this year? Excellent. So everybody watching or in the audience, keep an eye out for that as well. It's fun. All right, so we'll open it up to public comment. If anybody has any public comment, clarification about any of the presentations that you just saw, please.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. I appreciate it. My name is Lori Soleil, and I am a Mount Shasta tour guide here with a permit through the Forestry Service. So my business relies on tourism, obviously. I think so many businesses in town do, don't they? So I'm here in support of the Visitor Center. I became a chamber member about 8 months ago, I think, about 8 months ago, and I have been able to put my information in there, and I'm going to be on the map, which I think is an incredible asset for the community. And I just got to know Allison and her ability to provide hospitality for people who come in. Because what's happening in the world right now is most of us want to be in communication, don't we? We want that welcome door open to us, and that's exactly what the Visitor Center is for people who come into town. It's that open door. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place to come, because more and more people, as they get overwhelmed with information, there's too much information out there, really, right? So what do we want? We want somebody to guide us. When I work with clients, that's the first thing they ask me. What am I supposed to do here? Where do I go? Who do you like? What are some of the little hidden gems in town? And that's exactly what Allison provides. Because what you're going to see with social media and other things, they are beautiful and they work, but we're watching AI take over. So we have SEO, which is search engine optimization, but we also have GEO, which is generative engine optimization. So more and more we're going to see AI taking over, and more people are going to feel overwhelmed and they want to come in and talk to a human being. That's an asset, that's a value. This is an asset to the community. I have a couple things here that I wanted to share about her. The Visitor Center it acts as a hub that distributes opportunity across our entire community. And just something that I found out recently from an artist in town, the California Visitors Bureau, Visit California, is doing a massive national commercial, and they are focusing, one of the places is Mount Shasta. I know, isn't that incredible? And the artist is the one I don't know who else is being interviewed in town, but she is one of them, and they're promoting that nationally. And so when you stop at the rest stops, as the gentleman said, and people want to have that break, or they want to talk to somebody, I went on to the Ashland Visitor Center. If you guys have been to Ashland and you stop at that beautiful visitor center that's there, and there are people in there and they're asking, what are you interested in?
Thank you.
Thank you. So again, I'm here to support. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other public comment? Looks like we got one taker. Yeah, coming up. All right.
Namaste, yate, and aloha. That one sister you're talking about is Andrea Shanti.
Yes, Andrea.
I went and did a little video with her. She is amazing. Amazing. She has a lot of stuff. So, yeah. She's also a Ohana Connect member. That's why. So, we had the museum. I hope I remembered everybody. Outdoor rec, marketing, Humane Society, visitors, chambers, Colliers Center, Stop Shop, and beautification. Everybody is doing such a fantastic job. I just appreciate all of you. With all the limited resources that we do have, with all the $7 plus gas and diesel to ship it over here, with all the inflation and all that stuff we can't control, government shutdown, COVID, Iran, whatever. With all the limited tourism that we have, locals is where we need to kind of place all of our attention. Like you're saying, sis. AI is coming. It's already here. I'm going to be the very first one to let that sink in Siskiyou County. And like she did say, the bigger the cities that shoot off AI, and then the next cities is Medford and Reading. After that, it ripple effects, and it is here. That's where our future is going. The good news is the more that world goes, the more they want authenticity. The more that they want, like our brother said with the stops. The mountain is world renowned, especially with the niche in tourism, which is called spiritual tourism. That is our niche. We're not just tourism. We have a niche in spiritual tourism worldwide. Everybody that comes from every other state, Nevada and Oregon and South coming here to this mountain, once you pass Redding and drop over that big old bridge with our big old lake, we go back about 10 years. We have a little bubble that goes over Redding, Big Lake, all the way to like Medford area. There's a little 10-year bubble. We step back in time and we just kind of get frozen over here in our little world. That's where locals support locals. You know what I like to see? I went to the Weed Mixer. I went to the Mount Shasta Mixer. We're the visitor center. Great, amazing. I've been to Dunsmuir. I've been to Weed 5 times listening sessions. I have land in Lake Shasta now, Lake Shastina. We're pushing for a mayor in Wairika soon. You know what I like to see? Multiple departments countywide coming together more often. I would love to see the visitor center and the Chamber of Commerce coming together once a month and uniting resources. I'd love to see the marketing center, if there was other marketing in like Scottsville and Wairika, whatever, anybody else doing that, to come together and see what we can learn from everybody. That saves money, saves efficiency. It brings us together a little bit closer. That's called ohana. It's one step past partnerships. Aloha kako. Thank you. I got you.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comment on this? No? All right. We'll bring it back to council to discuss. Anything to discuss at this point? I imagine we'll be talking about these in the future. Yeah, receiving the information, okay. Nothing to vote on. Yep, all right. Cool, moving on to item number 9 is the mobile home park rent control. So a little background here. The residents of Shasta Horizon Mobile Home Park have raised concerns regarding rising rent and utility cost. And our city planner is unfortunately not here. So Todd, I think you were going to give us a little background on this one, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, our city planner is ill tonight. I'm asking that we table this. I want to apologize to the folks that have stuck around for this item. I think I probably failed in not being more clear that the expectation was that we have an ordinance that we have to review as opposed to compilation of numbers. We need to come back soon with an ordinance that council has something to comment on. So.
Understood. Any questions?
I just agree with the tabling just because we're missing the 2 other ones. Yeah, so motion to table it for 2 weeks.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling till the next meeting?
Aye.
Aye. I do want to apologize to the folks who stayed here and stuck around for it. Appreciate you all coming out that we're here for that issue. Rest assured we will discuss it more, though. Feel free to reach out in the meantime. Yeah, absolutely. At the next meeting, we'll absolutely have a public comment period on it as well. Yep. Unfortunately.
What are the rules, clerk?
Sure. Well, we'll go first then if there is any council questions regarding any of the stuff on there. Okay, no. We'll open it up to public comment. Anybody who would like to speak for 3 minutes on this one?
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this subject. It's my understanding there is some kind of consideration for mobile home park rent control or a stabilization ordinance. My name is Richard Travasos. I'm with the property management company for Shasta Horizon Mobile Home Park. We've had some communications via email, and I just wanted to make a couple key points on that subject, if I may. There was a report that was put out last week. I had some concerns regarding the accuracy and objectivity of that report. The report contains information that is misleading. Specifically, it categorizes utilities as rent and combines rent and utility charges when calculating rent increases within that report. This approach inflates the perceived increase and does not accurately reflect actual rent adjustments. Utility costs are pass-through expenses. They are billed to the park and then prorated among tenants based on actual usage and set rates. We do not profit from those charges, nor do we have control of the charges that are charged to us. Therefore, it's inaccurate to cite a 14% rent increase, which includes utilities in that figure. The actual average rent increase for 2025 was 6.1% for our mobile home park tenants. Additionally, the report singles out Shasta Horizon Mobile Home Park. There's other parks within the city that were not included in that. The report also appears to rely on information from a single tenant, which does not provide a comprehensive or balanced view. We are available, Shasta Horizon, to offer information as needed to the council to help make them an informed decision. Also, we have an existing low-income rental assistance program that we offer in-house. This is something that we're proud of. We've taken these proactive steps to support residents in need. We have implemented this program for our homeowners within the park. This program provides direct monthly rent credits as well as multi-year lease options with capped rent increases. We did 3% plus CPI if you're interested in what we did for those multiple year leases. It is a targeted, practical, and already benefiting multiple residents. Importantly, it ensures assistance is directed to those who genuinely need it rather than applying a broad policy that may have unintended consequences. If a rent control ordinance is passed, unfortunately that program would go away. If there's any residents that are here from our park, which I don't know if they are, I'm happy to meet with them and tell them about the rental assistance program and even expand it if needed. So we're actively willing to participate in doing that. Meanwhile, there's been property improvements and rising operational costs. Similar to city of Mount Shasta, we have infrastructure, roads, water, gas, electricity that all need upkeep. And so far the owners invested $500,000 in those improvements that directly benefit the residents and improve quality of life, increasing the value of their homes. So average rents are less than $500.
That's time. Thank you.
Thank you, and open to continue this conversation.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for him? No? Thank you very much.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Corey McNulty, and I am the community manager for Shasta Horizon Mobile Home and RV Park. Shasta Horizon takes great pride in our community, and over the past several years, we have made a consistent effort to improve both the quality and safety of our property for our residents. We have completed a number of significant upgrades to our shared facilities, including fully remodeling and modernizing both the women's and men's restrooms, as well as renovating the laundry room and installing new, more reliable equipment. In addition, we have made important infrastructure improvements. We have established a central office to provide residents with a dedicated space for communication and support. We installed a new community map to improve navigation within the property, and we repaved our streets to enhance both safety and accessibility. We have also invested in amenities that improve quality of life. This includes the development of a secure off-leash dog park, providing residents with a safe and appropriate space for their pets. Recognizing the importance of safety during winter conditions, we purchased a snowplow that operates on the same schedule as the city. This ensures that our residents are able to safely enter and exit the community during inclement weather. Beyond physical improvements, we have worked to strengthen the sense of community within Shasta Horizon. Throughout the year, we host events such as community barbecues, ice cream socials, and seasonal gatherings with our residents, which help foster connection among residents and encourage positive engagement with management. Our goal is to continue building a community that is not only well-maintained, but one that residents are proud to call home. Rent control would hinder this. While we have quite a bit of future amenities planned, this is additional cost to the community. Every amenity that we provide needs continuing upkeep, not only upgrades, but events that we provide and that we host require money and material, food if it's a food event, labor costs. Not only upgrades and events we are providing, but current infrastructure as well. We own our water lines in the community. These water lines put in well before the 1970s. These break on a monthly basis. It requires time and money to keep our utilities up and running, providing water to our residents, keeping them happy. Not only for our water in our well, but we also pay sewer. We pay the city sewer. While we pay them each month, we are still required to upkeep the sewer lines in our community.
That's time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak on this? No? Just adjusting. Anyone else? Okay. I'll bring it back to council for discussion. No discussion. Anybody? Okay. Oh, all right. Tabling it. Well, it's been tabled. Okay. Sounds good. So 2 weeks from now, we will resume discussion. All right, moving on to item 10 then. Staff report from the State Revenue and Taxation Finance Committee. Let's see, staff will provide an overview of the discussions which took place at the January and March 2026 State Revenue and Taxation Finance Committee meetings. Todd?
Yeah. So I attended 2 in-person Revenue and Taxation Finance Committee as an appointed member. Our majority focus was looking at the current Bradley Burns tax sharing policy that is part of state law that says that the point of negotiation is where sales tax is collected, and the way it has been construed for online retailers is that when you order something online, whether that's Best Buy, Target, Walmart, or Amazon, those sales tax revenues stay in the community in which the fulfillment center is, as opposed to coming here. There are many communities that are losing out because of this, and so there was a pretty robust debate over this entire time. And, we had a member that was looking for 100% return. What was curious is on the committee makeup, there was one invitee from cities, except for cities that had fulfillment centers, and they had up to 3 members. So it was an interesting skew. So what came out of, days of these negotiations are a number of points that we implement, a 50-50 split with the communities that have fulfillment centers, keeping 50% of that sales tax revenue, 50% going back to the communities in which, products were ordered. That there was a plus or minus 5% fluidity ban, which is basically allowing for a from 45% to 55% leeway in sales tax revenue, so there isn't continually a granular count of the accounting of sales tax. It also, it allowed existing sales tax sharing agreements to stay in place. Now, this is kind of a sidebar comment, but a lot of communities with fulfillment centers, and there's a bill to try to stop this, that when these large retailers, decide to build a fulfillment center, there are opaque agreements in which sometimes 50% of sales tax revenue is kept by the company, sometimes 100%. And right now, that's not discoverable via a Freedom of Information Act request. So we're trying to get transparency through another bill, but that's the way it is now, and we'll keep those agreements because we'd end up mired in a bunch of lawsuits. This is what we recommended. We asked for a 5-year phase-in plan, so it gave communities that have fulfillment centers the ability to adjust. We created a plus or minus what they call a 20% volatility band, and that ensures that e-commerce revenue certain communities of that 50% that is returning, getting sales tax returned to them, if their portion exceeds 20%, that the excess gets put into a mitigation pool and shared with the communities that are that are actually suffering more. And then finally, we would propose to reallocate county pool use tax dollars from out-of-state e-commerce, which is a pretty minuscule amount, and instead of it going to counties, it coming directly to cities. Now, all of these points, except for the last one, require a constitutional amendment for them to pass. And so we made the recommendations, and it went forward to a committee of legislators and Cal City members. And what we learned after the fact is that the board expressed, real concerns about passing any of this because A, it was too controversial, which I find interesting because Cal Cities is the group that puts the revenue and taxation policy committee together and then sits on the committee that makes a decision whether to move it forward. And if they're afraid of controversy, then it seems to be kind of a big circle where nothing gets done, which worries me. So the only thing that they also said that that they didn't want to take this on right now because of state budget deficit that's being projected, and if they put a constitutional amendment on to the ballot, it costs money to put it on the ballot, and they would have to spend money for the literature to fight big box retailers and other groups that front groups that will come out and flood the market with literature, trying to make sure we knock this down. But if you read between the lines, it's that Cal Cities and legislature not wanting to take that level of controversy on right now, part of it, and frankly, the League of California Cities relies on membership dollars, so if they're pissing off some communities, then they're losing members, and they as much admitted it. And I think the thing that goes unsaid in all of this is that, there's lobbying money behind the scenes for all these fulfillment centers, and they don't want to miss out on that. And it's clear from the reports from this committee, not ours, but the Cal Cities and the legislature, is that communities with fulfillment centers got advance notice. There was nobody from any community other than those with fulfillment centers and the reps from the fulfillment centers and those cities to come out and, be extremely loud and make a fuss. And so that's problematic. I think one thing to keep in mind is there are approximately 35 cities in California that have fulfillment centers, and there are 448 without. And one of the things that when we met, they showed is a breakdown of cities by zip code. And the city of Mount Shasta, if we got 50% of our tax revenue back, it would be 27%. If we got 100% of it back, 55% or so. So we're losing a significant amount of money, and we need to figure out how we can turn this tide. But I just wanted to share that because I think it's important, and I think it's important in light of increasing costs with the city and increasing costs to provide services, and the fact that we've got a sales tax measure that we're putting on the ballot. I don't know if this is of interest. I put it on here. There are some bills that Cal Cities is, suggesting that we support. We don't have all the details yet. It's kind of a very, very quick synopsis. There's a SB 923 road repair. It is designed for cities to be able to seek reimbursement for costs like, when, we're doing road repair, road reconstruction, we can collect for, the cost of hauling our garbage off, of using electricity, using essential public health services, that kind of thing, which Cal Cities suggests we support. When I have more information on it, I'll bring a letter to council. There is a Senate Bill 1005 about rounding, which is really in reaction to, this sounds really esoteric, but losing the penny and putting something in writing, and what do we do in terms of rounding so we don't end up in a bunch of fights over rounding pennies up or down. So that's another one. When we have more information, bring it to council. And there is a tax expenditure review board that Senate Bill 1349 is, they'd like to put it in place. And the intent is is establish an independent advisory body to assess major tax expenditures and provide recommendations to the legislature. So what does that mean? To increase transparency and oversight of the California tax system on, on what they're passing, so we have an idea of, the nuts and bolts of where some of our tax dollars are going.
Please.
All right, so Todd, let's go over this step by step. So we have a 6% base state sales tax. All that sales tax goes to Sacramento, and then each municipality or wherever the collection comes from. So if it's from this zip code, well, restaurant charges their sales tax, they remit it to the Sacramento, it gets turned back around. We get our quarter cent for the library.
Yep.
And then there's 1%, the county or something like that. So what do we get do we get anything from the 6% back? Is that clear? Is that clear to you?
We get 1%.
1%, okay. I kind of remember that. However, if things are sold through Amazon fulfillment center in Manteca, wherever,
Yep.
and gets delivered here, that 1% goes to Manteca, not to
Yes.
Mount Shasta.
Yep.
So that's the controversy, in case people were wondering. But what about the 1/4% for the library? if it's charged. In other words, Amazon looks at our zip code, they charge the 7.5%. 1/4 of that should go to Mount Shasta for the library. Did that get clarified at all? Like what happens with that type of transaction?
It didn't. I'm not sure, but I don't think,
the sales tax in Manteca is higher, so it's
yeah.
So it's going to be
I
higher.
believe we do keep that because I had a conversation with the reps or the city council from Dunsmuir.
So you know what I'm saying? So
I do.
The sales tax in
Yeah.
Manteca is higher, but but they're not going to charge that.
No.
Let's say it's me. I'm buying something through Amazon, which I do.
Sure.
I don't see it being more than 7.5%. So
The 1/4% does come back to us because Dunsmuir just
Okay.
passed their sales
Right.
tax, and
All right,
they
so
were
that's-
saying
that's-
all of that stays with
that's
them, even with
definite.
online purchases.
So that's definite.
Correct,
So if we
yeah.
do a 1% sales tax increase as a special add-on to the sales tax, that's all going to go to us,
That all stays here.
regardless
Yes. That all
of
stays
where
here.
it's. Okay, so that's important because that's going to be about $1.2 million if it passes, and so forth. But you said second thing, you said something about the companies keeping the sales tax money themselves.
Yeah,
What is that?
There are agreements that, these large corporations have, and it's been legal, that they can set with the community in which they want to locate.
Yeah.
That in some cases, in exchange for the property tax revenue and, the expiration of that sales tax sharing agreement, that in some cases they keep 100% of the sales tax revenue. Sometimes it's 50%, but those contracts are opaque. They're considered the company's contract, and so they're not discoverable via FOIA. And there was a Senate bill last year, and it didn't get very far, that says that there needs to be, sunlight on it as an antiseptic to see what's going on. And it hasn't passed. It's still being discussed.
Wow, I had no idea that was going on. I thought sales tax had to be charged, collected, and remitted to Sacramento regardless. In all cases, there apparently are plenty of possibilities for exceptions. Well, that's not very balanced. All right. You learn something every day. All right.
Any other John, questions? All right, we'll open that up for public comment regarding this issue.
Good evening, Johanna L. Torfer. I just want to say this is really awesome. You're following up on all of this and kind of, keeping them honest, and it's unfortunate that this has happened. I believe this is a fairly recent change. I want to say, do you know when it was? I want to say 2021 maybe?
Circa 2019 or so.
Or 2019, 2021. Because from what I recall, it seems like they're playing corporate games with paperwork, because all these big box retailers used to be online sales, and these online sales are now coming down to a state level, and they're kind of cherry picking. And I think if we go back to the big picture and what it used to be, maybe that could be an argument to bring it back to the buyer cities. And whatever, John was just asking about with some of these corporations keeping the sales tax, that sounds unreal, and that it doesn't even make sense. But I think there's a little bit of a shuffle. Whatever the crux was that changed it from online to this corporate thing needs to get really looked into, because I think that's where you're going to find the answer to make it go back to the online. Because you have to remember there needs to be nexus for all of this. And the nexus really is the buyer, because without the buyer, you have no sale. And so, in my opinion, that's your nexus. Just my 2 cents on that, but thank you for doing that, Todd. That's really awesome.
Thank you. Any other public comment out there on this issue?
Aloha. I don't know. I just wanted to put this on that record so we can blast it out. We've been talking about this for about a year or so already, yeah? Had that big 30 people here last year sometimes, and we've been setting it up with Yeah Movement and now Ohana Connect to bring this topic more awareness to the public. We've been talking about it every month, that a vote will be coming up in November for 1% or 1.25%. We're not really sure, 1.5%, we're not sure. And I just wanted to put it out there that this affected us personally in our emergency services budgets. It affected a lot of fire department staffing and a lot of police department staffing and dispatching, which is huge. And a lot in our charitable, being able to fund, only $1,000 because our budget was so strict. Only X amount, like the marketing guy couldn't really go for the higher package. We had to keep it the same because funding, our watchtower that we want to do Back to the Future 4th of July, couldn't, we had to hold ourselves conservative. And we've slowly brought back a little bit of health in our staffing and awesome budgeting, putting that all together. And we got a few more officers, which was awesome, and a few more fire staff, and just slowly chipping away at it. And so I just wanted to say that out there to all of our friends. I also have other friends that's inside of the hotels, like Mary's Inn, Mary. And, one of her little concerns, we got TOT that's already taxing them at a certain percentage, and it affects them a lot. And then when they have to consider a 1% more or 1.5% more, it's kind of a harder pill to swallow. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that a big part of this Amazon, Walmart, online thing that we did lose, which was around $1 million, $1,001,000 or something, our salary, our money that used to come in from there that we usually use for staffing, for our emergency services, got cut and blew our budget out, and we're recovering in a really well job, so great job staff. And this tax increase is also to help our fire department and police department and emergency staffing and water sewer staffing and awesome city staffing to be able to still be super awesome. And so I'd like to encourage our public to become more aware of our 1% increased sales tax vote that is coming around, because it totally affects us in a personal note in the city of Mount Shasta. And that's why I appreciate each and every one of you guys so much, so much, so much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Please.
Hi, I'm Anastasia Sprout again, and this issue came up quite passionately at the Coffee with Casey, Coffee with the Mayor. So I just want to represent some of that discussion of many people who spoke up, very concerned about this. We were trying to brainstorm solutions, and there were 3 things that were talked about, and I wanted to offer this for people watching or considering. One was to get support to make a statewide proposition and to get free legal assessment of how to write that so that we can have people signing up. Part of it, we need to educate people about what this means. I was from Seattle, and in Seattle, we had the promise of a lot of jobs, the race for distribution centers, and Amazon brought jobs into the community and then took them away. So this was looked at as rather a Trojan horse promise for these communities. Also, another idea was to introduce a bill into the state assembly, the state senate, really ask people to take that forward. The other thought I had personally is to educate, and if we can't get, more fair communication and representation about what's really going on, because frankly, it's inappropriate to the point of defrauding cities. That's what it sounds like from where I'm sitting. This money that is rightfully ours by common sense, at point of sale, then we really do look at a fairness boycott campaign where we try to educate people about where are you spending your money. And so perhaps if the citizens can get together and put together some momentum, that'll support the people who are going into these meetings who are set up to fail, it sounds like. So food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment out there? Okay. We'll bring it back to council for discussion then, you guys. Just to address a couple of the concerns there, I spent 3 days last week down in Sacramento for a Cal Cities California City Leaders Summit, and as part of that, I did meet with our state assembly member and our state senator and kind of hijacked a portion of the meeting to bring this issue up. And both of them were actually very much in support if we are to bring something to them. Both of them they're well aware that they represent a lot of small communities and that there's not distribution centers in their districts. And part of the issue, as our city manager mentioned, is that some of this may require a state constitutional amendment rather than just, because if it was just an assembly bill or a Senate bill, either of them would be very on board to introduce it. That doesn't mean that they won't be able to help going forward and be in support of something. That will absolutely be crucial. So there is some movement, but all of the ideas that you suggested are definitely going to be helpful, I think. So we're not done. Yeah. Any other discussion out there? I don't have anything else. No? Okay. Well, there was nothing to vote on with this one. It was just, right? No, where am I? Yeah. Okay, receive the report. Yep. All right, we will move on to item 11, the closeout of Fund 70. And Fund 70 has been used to fund projects recommended by the Beautification Committee. Our Finance Director, Melissa.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. As you know, since I've been here, I've been trying to streamline the number of funds that we have an account for. The Beautification Committee was receiving transfers from a fund we closed last year. So we would be transferring the money from the general fund to the Beautification Fund. And rather than do that, what I'd prefer to do and would like to get support to do is close the Beautification Fund 70 and create a department in the general fund that we use to track the expenses of the Beautification Committee. They presented their budget here today. It's a little less than it had been in the past, so it will cost the general fund possibly a little bit less. So if there's support for that, I'd like to move that forward.
Thank you. Questions from the council? I mean, this sounds pretty straightforward. And, yeah. Any public comment on this one? Excellent, as noted. All right. We'll bring it back to council for discussion. I mean, this sounds, if this is your recommendation, that this will be easier for you.
Yeah, I got that.
You got it, John?
Find that page. Yeah, okay, so what are we doing? So motion to approve closeout of Fund 70 for the Beautification Projects Fund by title only.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? Okay, excellent. We'll move on then to item 12, council reports on attendance at appointed outside meetings.
Okay, so
you guys?
Collier, I'll be having a meeting tomorrow, so that's that. But very, very briefly, had a finance committee meeting and went over this with Melissa. Yeah, so we had a finance committee meeting last week, and we went over this book, very well laid out. So very quickly, the combination of closing funds like we just did, and we've done several of those, and assigning costs properly that were previously assigned to the general fund to enterprise funds such as the sewer system, the water system, has helped the general fund budget come more into balance or actually be in balance. However, it affects the performance of those funds. So with the soon-to-be started rate study for both of those funds, the sewer and the water, and it's separate, although they probably will happen simultaneously. I hate to break this to people, but rates will probably go up, and that's the reality, especially if we want to fix more pipes. So there you go.
Thank you. Anything else? No? Okay.
I could go on,
Yeah, I understand. Moving on to item 13, future agenda items. We've got the master fee schedule review. We've got a meeting for that upcoming on Wednesday morning. Mobile home rent stabilization, we moved that to the future. And then the 2026 sales tax ballot measure, which will be sometime in early June. We'll probably have it on the agenda before then, sometime in May. Anything else that you guys would like to see on the agenda? No? Oh. Okay, cool. All right, well, we'll move on to item 14 then.